Hello, beautiful humans. What a treat it is to be with you all here today. I wanted to check in and see how you all are doing. I have received a couple updates from some friends, and when I notice common themes, I often feel that it's important to bring them forward so everybody knows that you are not alone on this wild journey. Sometimes I need that reminder, to be honest. I can't do it alone. None of us can. Apparently there's been a lot of solar flare activity this early weeks of December. I know last night I came down with a very strong headache out of nowhere, and I've had a few of them over the last few days. But this one put me to bed early, and even at night I was like, oh. Also, very, very vivid dreams. Now, you know me, I love dreams. I love big dreaming. I love the astral world. I work a lot with it and have my entire life. But the dreams coming through are containing some lucidity, perhaps some soul connection. Maybe if you are on the counterpart journey, maybe you're receiving some sort of form of communication or indications around union. All of this seems to be up in the collective right now. I had a very lucid moment on, I believe, a couple evenings ago, where I got the message that the 5D is here. That means that our emotional and spiritual reality is more so than it's ever been embodying us. And we're just kind of in our physical forms now experiencing the 5D consciousness, whereas before we were 3D, tapping into the 5D. Now we're 5D. It's going the other way. And ultimately the streams are both pulsating, but those of us, or those of you watching this video, are probably now experiencing it more embodied. Don't know if that quite makes sense. It was a big thing to be able to relay. um, but I think an easy way to bridge that would be talking about, like, there's been a big change as far as like gender norms and non-binary people and that sort of thing. So to me, that is a direct translation to how we're moving into 5D consciousness. And ultimately, what's being said is people just want to be seen as people, or we just want to be seen as beings. We want to be seen as the soul that we are, and we don't always present as what we feel that we are. So the more we collectively integrate the 5D consciousness or embody it, the more we see the truth of what is going on with people, with who they really are. And another way you might be seeing this coming forth, I know for myself, is that the masks that people had, or the ways that even the bad masks, or the things like the manipulative masks, the veil is very thin, and so it's just the ability to see and feel and experience people's true intentions is so vivid right now. There's nothing that people can hide. Their fields are getting so clear that any dissonance of where they're not standing forward in the true essence of their being is coming into light now. And that's happening for us too. We all have depths of our subconscious and our unconscious things that are coming up to be cleansed and purified. This isn't just from this lifetime. Maybe you've been a perfect angel this entire life. You're just like walking around with a halo, never lied, never done anything wrong, never misused any substance. Um, or maybe you have, and those parts are coming up. But uh, from the past lives, even, these dreams, these visions are moving forward of the ways that we weren't pure then, or the way that we wronged. And sometimes also, I've been kind of in a deep study of, like, I don't know that my soul was ever really that corrupt. Of course, we all have had, places where we play the line with what's morally in, but I don't think that I was often the prosecutor. I don't think that's how my soul origined. Now, I know there are lifetimes that I committed things maybe in defense. I hurt someone, or maybe even killed somebody in defense of myself. And there's also ways that I was harmed so incredibly deeply so many times. So a lot of times the wounding that came up, it's not just karma, isn't just like that thing's now happening to you that you did something else. Sometimes it's, oh, this is happening again because now you have alchemized and you're stronger this lifetime to be able to manage it. All right. So I wanted to bring those messages forth because they were very strong and powerful. And I'm very excited to be seeing more of what I'm feeling and to be interacting with more of what I'm feeling. I always say that you can't, I don't always say this, but to dance with somebody's shadow, you can only really dance with it if they're also dancing with it and being aware with it. If they're trying to stuff their shadow and you're just constantly bringing light on their shadow, then that's where they come and start to be kind of a tacky or whatever. So in that, it's like the awareness of those dynamics and where it's safe to play, to heal, to grow, to expand are becoming so clear. And those who are not, we're naturally being protected and guided away from them. I've had a lot of divine intervention. Could also just be because of the solar flares, but just the timing of receiving messages. Like it came through at that time, but I didn't get it until the next day. It just didn't appear. Um, so a lot of divine intervention is presenting itself. Now, I did draw a couple cards today, and I'm very excited to be relaying them forward to you all. Oh, wow, we've got some great messages. I only looked at a few. I didn't look at all of them before I started this. I just drew them to save us some time. So for those of you watching the video, so this is one side. The reading I did was for those of us who are on sacred union journeys, who feel that they have a divine counterpart. I'm really working hard on not labeling things as much as masculine and feminine because the integration of that is more so than it's ever been. Of course, there can still be a stronger current with one or the other because that's also, again, how we're healing things. But we're really doing such deep alchemy in ourselves. And this is the 1111 pillar is, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. And as they pillar with that within themselves, then we're going to be creating this, the 1111 as a whole, which is incredible. That is beams of light that are coming together. So, for those of watching the video, we're starting with the wise woman. This is the high priestess. Really feel that this is about coming into the work. Coming into the work even more embodied than we've ever been. There's so much of this is the most it's ever been, and where there's no wiggle or doubt or questioning. It's all just coming forth with such vivid clarification and clarity. So, what I see here with this wise woman is the internal experiences that we're really finding this embodiment within us. We're owning our magic, we're owning our power, we're owning our place in this world. And that is a non negotiable. It's just, I'm coming whole or I'm not coming at all. I'm going to stay in my quaint little cabin in the woods, or I will go out into the world with this magnificent light. There's no more stuffing or numbing or playing small. It's like, this is what it is. And I work and I play with those who recognize and honor my gifts, just as I honor and recognize their gifts. We come forward in light and in transparency. Now, I asked for the external reflection, and I'm working with these new cards, which again is the Wisdom Things Oracle, or the Wild, the Wisdom of the Wild Things, Wild Wisdom Things. So I'm really enjoying this deck. It's an Oracle deck, and I don't commonly use Oracle decks. They don't often give me that much, but the whimsy of the way that this communicates from the depths of the subconscious is really activating for me personally. So I'm really enjoying working with these cards. I think I'm just from this realm, to be honest. Like I'm I'm a version of this. She's a distant cousin. Anyway, so here we've got what we have going on here. So the first card, they stuck out together. Now this is a new deck, so they're still a little sticky sometimes. But they came out as two. And the first card I saw is this of transition. Okay. And I did read the book ahead of time just to kind of get a feel. But what I'm really seeing with this guy or this gal is that it is in the process of metamorphosis. In the book, it talks about, when we are in the imago stage, which is in the chrysalis, when our DNA is literally changing from a caterpillar, and it's not even recognized as a caterpillar anymore, but it's not recognized as a butterfly. So I feel that that's really in the stage that a lot of us are feeling. I don't particularly know what's coming next. I am not particularly uncomfortable anymore with not knowing. I'm just like, cool, this is where we're at in the process. And like, where is it going to take? I'm really looking forward to the new things beaming. And I don't feel rushed or pressured anymore. I know that many times throughout, especially with Sacred Union, I'm like, this has to happen now. The world needs us now. And I'm just kind of like, nah, I'm fine just being me right now. And I know that there's more ahead. And I that will happen in divine timing. So that it is that surrender and trust of this process. And that for many of us in itself is a transition. There's lots of micro transitions that are happening in this bigger transition moving forward. So tune into what that is for you and how that's manifesting. Now, I love that these two cards came together because Nat is only 5'6", and as the kids would say, 6'7", 6'7". Anyway, but so we have 5'6". And this is a card of play, but it's also of death. So I know for myself, I perform as a holiday elf, and I've also been really looking at, because of how my chart is designed. I've spent the last 20 years like in the underworld, clearing, 5 to 9 lifetimes worth of karma. So it's been a very intense couple or 20 years for me, which has been my entire adult life now, and even a little bit before being an adult. So what I'm really looking at, it's like the death of the old child and reconnecting with how that is moving forward. So it's like we never should ever lose connection with our inner child, be that the wounded inner child or the healed inner child, in which we both play. And when I am my elf character, I am my healed, like most buoyant, light inner child. And she's fearless. So these two cards coming out together of transition and play, shows me that we're in an experimental phase of discovery. And I really feel like this card is the merge of these two beings. Like this is kind of what comes forward when you transition from maybe into emotional adulthood. This is who you become. Now she embodies play, she embodies mysticism, she's using playful tools, not toys, but of mysticism. And this has the bones that she's using to divinate here. So it's like the bones of our child selves and what we believed and how we moved forward, and how we engaged with the world as children before we closed down or shut off, which is generally a natural part of the process. Most of us who are psychically inclined or super empathic find a way to close down those channels so that we can have somewhat normal childhood. But as we reopen, these gifts start to come forward again, but in a new way, in a mature way. So it's not just flights of fancy, it's intentional acts of creation. And there becomes almost like a science to it, because you're working through different alchemical tactics that bring you forward to what it is that you're cultivating and curating. So this is all very exciting to me. And this really, to me, resonates with those of you who are watching these videos. And that's, intended to be the counterpart, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit in each of these. Okay, so for the counterpart that is not watching this video, or maybe you're sharing with it and you're watching it together, but for the other one, we have the Keeper of Challenges, which is the King of Swords. Now, I do really find these to be interesting as a pair, because what I see is an element of studying going on, a way of introspection, of observation, of really getting discerning for this counterpart of, oh, wow, like this being is a mystical, incredible, like embodied soul, and I get to interact and dance with them. But how can I match them? What are my tools? And it's almost like there's parts of this guy that are frozen to the light. Now, look at here. In her card, she's got both the path of the light and the path of the shadow. To me, this shows that she is integrated and whole, because she sits in the middle of the two paths, because she can see them both. And sure, she can tell you which way to go, and what's going to serve your soul growth most, which sometimes could be walking into the underworld. Sometimes that path is a non-negotiable, but the path then leads to the where this one intersects again. So this guy, I think, is really in this deep place of introspection, is also in this deep space of introspecting how he's engaged with his counterpart, even. Now, I do love that he too has a bone tool. He has a staff. He's got some things available. And while it feels he's sitting in density, there's space around him that is starting to appear and become more clear. Now, I got a very similar message when I looked at Welcome the Unknown. So I really feel like this is what he's contemplating. And I also feel that this is the counterpart energy of here is a being who has integrated her darkness. It's a part of her, you know, she's got snakes in her hair and, you know, she's not threatening. She understands her magic. She's in control of this. This isn't Medusa. She's not going to turn you into stone by looking at her. She's going to be honest, and she's like, I can dance with your snakes because I've met them before. And for some reason, I've been having a lot of thoughts around Adam and Eve lately, and the nature of that story and it being the woman's fault and the banishment and all this, like this myth, and how it creates an imbalance in those who really believe in it, because there's not equal accountability. It's blaming the feminine component for falling into or being deceived, when maybe it was coming from a place of wanting to understand. And I think that to release that, we have to understand that the snake, and we're still in the year of the snake, is here to help us transmute. Um, and I really am seeing so much of this. I've been writing so many poems about the shadow coming into the light, of bringing light into the shadow. It's time to get very clear with ourselves and get right with ourselves so that when we stand in the mirror and we look at ourselves, we can be proud and of all that we are and that all we've become, and we can forgive all of the ways that we wronged in the past, and and take those as lessons that move forward. So that feels really potent and powerful. And I just want to hold up these two images together again, and just kind of let the imagery sit with you. Really good stuff. Okay, and then I'll hold these ones up as well, just because I think the cards themselves will invoke activations. And as you sit with these, please always, you know, tune in with how those images strike you and your own journey. You know, there might be something about this mushroom necklace. Also, you know, there is something about this mushroom necklace. She's surrounded by this. So this also feels like a grown-up version of this. You know, you could almost put this head on this body. She's collected um, she's collected the mushrooms, she's made art out of them, she's integrated the alchemy of their medicine. All right, really powerful stuff. Okay, so lastly, I asked about the shared energies for the two, and we got an ace of spells. So to me, this ace of spells goes back to what I was talking about at the front of this video, where it is the 5D is coming into being. This feels like a total rebirth. Oh, what I also love is this wyvern is holding a staff, and he has a staff. So what I see with that is it's like this staff is about to be imbued with power, um, and the kind of power that is alchemical. It is conscious power. It's conscious awareness. It's illumination. It's the gift of the magic coming through and the activation of purpose. So this really feels like the counterparts are being activated in this. Now, I love these two cards together. This card says, "Listen to the music of your soul." And this little being's playing a little flute, very whimsical. To me, it feels like a version of this being, but maybe as it's emerged from the cocoon, or entered the world. They have similar hand postures. Like this one doesn't know how to play the instrument yet. It's in that transition of how do I engage my magic, and this one is embodying it and being of service. So I feel like this is this activation of tools, not just necessarily for the individuals, but for the counterpart and the union as a whole. So this is very, very powerful stuff. This is very potent. Um, seeing if anything else wants to come forward. I am going to hold up all the cards again together. Okay, so this is kind of the inner world, the felt reality, or the felt 5D. Here we go. All right. So as we see the masculine and the feminine, they're looking towards each other, and it's creating this activation that is a new beginning for both of them. And this is the lessons that were to be integrated by all. So hold them all like this. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here that's really powerful, potent soul magic. So, yeah, sit with all those messages, see how they land with you. I just looked over and it's what 12:11 and it's 1:12 p.m. Anyway, time. What a gift. Numbers, what a gift. My friend was just sharing me a story about how the numbers in themselves have been activating visions and things for her just by following number sequences and what they mean and how they activate. Similar for me of learning more astrology is offering activations. So really take advantage of these energies right now. Really be mindful of what you're curating now is impacting this big, bold new chapter that we collectively are moving into, but also you as an individual. I know for myself, I'm at the precipice of truly entering the next like book of my life. It's not even just a small chapter. I'm entering like the old book is closed and that I'm still in the transition. And I've got a few more months of that. But in that process, the mindfulness of is this how I want to live the rest of my life? Do I want to surround myself with people who engage in that type of activity or, aren't doing the work consciously? And the answer is no. And if that means I'm a little witch that lives in the woods alone, then that's all right. I will be here for counsel as those need me. Of course, I know my journey is more expansive than that, and that many parts are going to uplift and unfold. And I can feel it. I can sense it. I can't see it. And that's wonderful because the seeing is kind of where this like 3D comes into play of how this story is going to manifest and unfold. So I wish you many blessings. There's a frog croaking in the background, and I love how the light has moved throughout this reading time. Anyway, many blessings to you all. Hang in there if you're experiencing symptoms with the solar flares or just with ascension at all. Please reach out if you'd like to connect, prismhealers@gmail.com. Just send me an email and we'll find a time. My schedule changes on the daily, so I don't like to do scheduling apps because that is how I'm wired. So yeah, send me an email and we'll find a time. And many blessings until then. Ahoo!